I want you to dictate to me memorandum, a couple of pages, 4-letter words and short sentences on the situation in Vietnam, the Vietnam picture. Do you think it's a mistake to explain about Vietnam and what we're faced with?
Well, I do think, Mr. President, that it'd be wise for you to say as little as possible. It's a very uncertain period.
We need somebody over there that can get us better plans than we got. What I want is somebody that can lay up some plans to trap these guys and whip hell out of them, kill some of them. That's what I want to do.
I'll try and bring something back that will meet that objective.
Okay, Bob.
Thank you.
At some point, we have to approach Vietnam, and I want to know how you can best set that up for me.
Yeah, well, that's a hard question. I think we have to approach it in the context of the Cold War. But first, I'll have to talk about Ford, and I've got to go back to the end of the war. A friend of mine said, we're going to find a corporation in America that needs the advice and capabilities of this extraordinary group of people I'm going to bring together. He said, by the way, the company that most needs our help in all of the U.S. is Ford. Well, I said, how'd you learn that? Oh, he said, I read an article in Life magazine. And Henry Ford, second, needed help. They were going to give us tests. This sounds absurd, but I remember one of the questions on one of the tests was, would you rather be a florist or a coal miner? I should tell you, I had been a florist. I worked as a florist during some of my Christmas vacation. I put down coal miner. I think the reasons are obvious to you. Now let me jump ahead. It's July 1960. The telephone rang. A person comes on and says, I'm Robert Kennedy. My brother, Jack Kennedy, would like you to meet our brother-in-law, Sergeant Shriver. If I could appoint every senior official in the department, and then if I could be guaranteed I wouldn't have to be part of that damn Washington social world. She said, well, okay, why don't you write a contract with the president, and if he'll accept those two conditions, do it. It was on television, live.
All right, why don't we, let me do some pictures afterwards. I've asked Robert McNamara to assume the responsibilities of Secretary of Defense, and I'm glad and happy to say that he has accepted this responsibility. Mr. McNamara leaves the presidency of the Ford Company at great personal sacrifice.
That's the way it began. At that time, we had 16,000 military advisors. I recommended to President Kennedy and to the Security Council that we establish a plan and an objective of removing all of them within 2 years.
The advantage of having anybody taking them out is say to the Congress and people that we do have a plan for reducing the exposure of U.S. combat personnel. My observation about it is that the war doesn't continue to go well. It looks like we were overly optimistic. We need a way to get out of Vietnam. This is the way of doing it.
There was the coup in South Vietnam. Diem was overthrown, and he and his brother were killed. President Kennedy and I had tremendous problems with Diem, but my God, he was the authority. He was the head of state, and he was overthrown by a military coup. And Kennedy knew, and I knew, that to some degree, the U.S. government was responsible for that. The president had been shot in Dallas. Perhaps 45 minutes later, Bobby called again and said the president was dead.
I will do my best. That is all I can do. I ask for your help and God's.
Bob?
Yes, Mr. President.
I hate to modify your speech any, because it's been a good one, but I just wonder if we should find 2 minutes in there for Vietnam.
The problem is what to say about it.
I think this: you can have more war or you can have more appeasement. But we don't want more of either. Our purpose is to train these people, and our training is going good.
All right, sir, I'll get
I
on.
always thought it was foolish for you to make any statements about withdrawing. I thought it was bad psychologically. But you and the President thought otherwise, and I just sat silent.
The problem is...
All right, then the question is, how in the hell does McNamara think when he's losing the war that he can pull men out of it?
If you went to the CIA and said, how's the situation today in South Vietnam, I think they'd say it's worse. You see it in the desertion rate, you see it in the morale, you see it in the difficulty to recruit people, you see it in the gradual loss of population control. Many of us in private would say that things are not good, they've gotten worse. Now, while we say this in private and not public, there are facts available that find their way in the press. If we're going to stay in there, we're going to go up the escalating chain, we're going to have to educate the people, Mr. President. We haven't done so yet. I'm not sure now is exactly the right time.
No, and I think if you start doing it, they're going to be hollering you a woman.
I completely agree with you.
Make no bones of this. Don't try to sweep this under the rug. We are at war in Vietnam. And yet the President and his Secretary of Defense continues to mislead and misinform the American people, and enough of it's gone by.
Now, where are these torpedoes coming from?
Well, we don't know. Presumably from these unidentified craft.
There were sonar soundings, torpedoes had been detected, other indications of attack from patrol boats. We spent about 10 hours that day trying to find out what in the hell had happened. And as a result, there were bombing attacks on targets in North Vietnam. Johnson said, we may have to escalate. I'm not going to do it without congressional authority. And he put forward a resolution, the language of which gave complete authority to the President to take the nation to war. The Tonkin Gulf Resolution. Now, let me go back to the August 4th attack.
Well, there apparently been at least 9 torpedoes in the water. All missed.
Yeah.
No, I don't. Wait a minute now. I'm not so sure about this number of engaged.
Right.
We'd have to check it out here. He said many of the reported contacts and torpedoes fired appear doubtful. Freak weather effects on radar and overeager sonarmen may have accounted for many reports.
Okay, well, I'll tell Mr. McNamara this.
That's the best I can give you, Dave. Sorry. It does appear now that a lot of these torpedo attacks were from the sonar man, you see. And they get keyed up to a thing like this. Everything they hear on the sonar is a torpedo.
You're pretty sure there was a torpedo attack, then?
Oh, no doubt about that, I think.
Our judgment that we'd been attacked that day was wrong. It didn't happen. We were wrong. And it carries such heavy costs. We see incorrectly, or we see only half of the story at times.
We see what we want to believe.
We see you're absolutely right. Belief and seeing, they're both often wrong.